All right, so let's get started. You are a dual blade by the looks of it,
Yeah.
and level 250.
Yep.
Are you kind of stuck?
Yeah. I feel like I'm at that point where like normal Lomian takes me like 3 minutes, 5 minutes. Like it's pretty easy.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm not quite at the level of like hard bosses.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm in that point where like I'm too strong for some bosses, but not enough for others. And so I feel a bit stuck. So
Yeah, it's probably at the point where any kind of upgrade you have to make is also a very significant financial investment. So you want to make sure you're making the right one.
yeah.
It's understandable. Have you done like a battle analysis?
Yeah.
And
It
how
was
much?
2.2 trillion in 40 seconds.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so that's probably like just at like the bare minimum of where you want to be for a Lucid run, but you probably ideally want to be a bit higher. Yeah.
Yeah, most parties want like 3 trillion for DPS.
Yeah.
Usually what they ask for. But
Yeah.
2.5 can sometimes get away with it.
Yeah, like 2.5, and if you're like if they have the bursty people who are like over 4, then they can kind of have a little bit of leeway for the other character members,
Yeah,
for the other damaging members. I mean, but if everyone's
for
hovering
sure.
around 3.5, then yeah, you'd need at least 3 as well. Otherwise, you just don't clear part 3. It's a yeah, she's
Yeah.
chunky at phase 3. You need to get in there.
Yeah, my guild had a hard lucid party for a while,
Mm-hmm.
but they were all like the bare minimum. So
Yeah.
they were all like dying out.
Yeah.
So they all just went their separate ways. So they can all be like the sixth man in a different party. So
Yeah. Yeah, I get that because it could be demoralizing week after week, like 1 or 2 or 3 people dying out, and then getting to the end and then just not really having a chance, only having a chance when really everyone makes it. And the
yeah.
longer the boss runs go, the more likely you are that people do die out. So, was that before familiars came back though? Because maybe with healing familiars coming back, you might have a better chance at, you know.
Yeah, I think it was before, but I still don't know if they could do it because
Hmm.
it's
I mean, if they get like individually a bit stronger in the meantime, and familiars come back, and then they group back again, and with the guild buffs now, they might stand a decent chance. I don't know. I mean, it depends on
yeah.
if you guys have that desire as a guild to have your own guild run. Of course, not everyone wants that
Yeah.
necessarily.
I mean, we're probably gonna like rebuild one again when we're all stronger. But
Mm-hmm.
for now, it doesn't seem like viable. You know?
Okay. Yeah, there is definitely that that level of not even wanting to give it a chance to fail and just wanted to make sure that you are way overpowered just to make sure that you can clear it.
Yeah, we
Um,
want it to be like not super struggles. So we had to like meet back every day for like 4 days to like clear it.
yeah,
We
I've
want to
been
be
through.
able to like,
Yeah, once you've gone through that phase, you're like, okay, I've been there, done that. Now, like,
yeah,
if I know I can carry my own weight, then I want to make sure I'm in a party that can do it and not. Yeah,
yeah,
reconvening
exactly.
every single time because even though it's only like a 20 to 25 minute run, but it's it's the prep, it's getting all the items, it's making sure that everyone's communicated in time. Like, it is on average like an hour a week at least for like a single run, and if you do multiple runs, it's like at least like 30 minutes extra. And it's like, okay, when can you go? Maybe a different time. Maybe you have to scoot some things around. Yeah, it's not ideal for
Yeah,
sure. Um, Okay. Well, I guess then since you're already at 250, I'll look more into your gear directly and not so much into the mechanics of the game because I assume you have a pretty decent handle on those things. Otherwise, you
yeah.
probably wouldn't have gotten to this point so far, unless you're thinking like there's something that you could use like an extra little bit of explanation on.
Like the flames,
Mm-hmm.
transfer hammer, stuff like that.
Yeah, like yeah, basically these things. Yeah.
Um, it all seems fine. My third line for inner ability, is it possible to get a unique line for that, or would it be a tier lower?
It is possible to get unique. Yeah. In general, it'll just be a luck line. You can compare this to basically what you're essentially comparing this to is if you're using cubes, like if you were using black cubes on your glove or something, and you already have 8% critical damage, and then a second line like I don't know, like 10% all stat or something, and you're trying to roll for like another 10% all stat on the third line.
Oh, okay.
It's kind of like the equivalent of what you're looking for. It's possible for sure, but the default line is epic. But you got like nothing to lose, right? You just wait until 50% off event. You lock the first 2 because I'm pretty sure those are best in slot for you.
Yeah.
And then just anything you get that's even remotely useful. Even, if you plan to still train, maybe as a Night Lord, maybe as a dual blade, anything that gives you like some Mesobtain or some drop rate might even be nice. But yeah,
Okay.
set your expectations very low is
Yeah.
is the advice. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah, but that's the only thing from the list that you're like that you were wondering about.
Uh, yeah, that's probably it. I mean, there is the whole visual versus functional IED, but
Mm-hmm.
I think I'm fine with that. Like my visual right now is 90%,
Mm-hmm.
and I guess my functional would include the passive IED on my skills, right?
So yeah, so
Is
passive
that how it
ID
works?
built into the skills. Your boost nodes, if they're over level 40, some characters have passive hyper skills that can give extra ID to certain skills, and then there's
Okay.
sometimes you have boss debuffs as well that can also give you more IED. So basically, have you used the ID calculator to see what your functional ID is?
I have not.
Okay, so that's a good thing to use because then you know how much ID you're physically putting out, and especially once you're at like 250 and you're trying to min max. So this
Yeah.
may be something we can do together, so that you can make sure like this is your output IED, and that will go into your input as this is how much I already have, and that'll help you figure out what you want your lines to be. Now, I think for you it's not super important to calculate that because you have 2 skills that have 100% ID, right?
Yeah.
Was it Asura and then the
It's
bursting?
it's a Void Tempest and
Yeah,
Voids of Destiny.
yeah. And those
Or
are like
sorry, it's sorry, Void Tornadoes, the ID one.
yeah. And then your regular attacking skill has 30% extra, I think.
Yeah, but it's an extra 20 when you hit node level 40, so it's 50 total.
Yeah. Well, those are separate lines, right? So it's a 30 and a 20% line. It's not
Oh,
like
really?
one. Yeah, yeah. It gets calculated as individual lines.
I didn't know that. Okay.
The only time it gets added is if it's a so let's say you had a baseline of 30 and then you had a hyper skill that says gives an additional 20% IED on just on the skill, then it would go up to
Yeah.
a 50% line. So
Okay.
I think Threaten has that for Paladin, where they have like I think it gives 30% IED debuff, and then the hyper gives another 20, and then it actually becomes like a 50% IED debuff on the boss if there's a Paladin in your party, which is
Okay.
massive, of course.
Yeah, that's really good.
Because even if you're at 98, it just brings you to a 99. Like it's pretty broken.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, so that's something that you can calculate. But if you have 90 visual as a DB, I think it's pretty safe to say that functionally you're probably at a 96 to a 97. So I think you're pretty safe
Okay.
where you are. It's kind of like with my DA as well. Like if I'm visually at 88, I think functionally I'm close to 97. So because of
Yeah.
all the stuff. You got like a 30% debuff, 30% built into the skill, and 20% on the boost notes. It's like, yeah, you're good. Like, and then there's the mage link as well, right? The extra 9% because that's a boss debuff.
Hmm.
So that goes on top of all the visual as well. So I wouldn't be surprised if functionally you're at 96, 97, something like that. So it's probably fine.
Okay.
And with crit rate, you don't technically always need the 100%, but you basically go for it anyway because of Lotus and stuff, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, because you don't want to have to dodge the laser to proc your crit there. But there's probably other situations where it's just relevant to always have 100% crit no matter what.
Yeah.
I guess that's why some kind of crit chance in legendary inner ability is also somewhat on the
Oh
list. I
yeah.
think, yeah.
That's my ideal. Like I was originally aiming for 20% boss, 20% crit,
Mm-hmm.
and then buff duration third line, but I settled.
I think this is better. And the main reason is because of this, your final cut lasts so long that you don't always have to auto recast whenever it's up, and that way you can kind of use it more flexibly as an iframe as well,
Very true.
and that'll
And I,
help
I
you
also
with
like
your
it for the
CC.
Angelic Buster link.
Angelica. Oh yeah, yeah, for sure, yeah, and well, yeah, not for this guy, but like other classes, the Mihai Link skill would also work and stuff like that.
Yeah.
utility-wise, it's pretty useful. But yeah, Angelic Buster lasts quite a bit longer, and then since you are still pretty bursty, one thing that would be huge, and I don't know if you like it. Have you ever done any Tower of Oz?
I was actually going to mention if it was worth doing, but I've never done it before.
You never done it. It's pretty like low barrier to entry content because it's mostly
Yeah.
like puzzles and jump quests, so it's not that like you have to be insanely strong or anything.
Mhm.
But if it's content that you enjoy, there is the possibility for like great increases. Yeah, if you hit like a good ring, especially if you know the burst damage is something that you want to work on right now. Like it's not directly a financial investment. It kind of is, of course, because you invest time, and time could be invested into making money. So I mean, it is
Yeah.
all ultimately connected, of course. But if it's content you enjoy, then there's definitely like a pot of gold at the end of the rainbow. But you don't quite know how long the rainbow is. That's kind of the the problem. There's still
Yeah.
RNG involved, of course. But yeah, like if you're what you could do, for example, is also you could temporarily. I don't know if you have like the facilities, but if have you ever switched around between Night Lord and or Shadower, or have you always been dual blade?
I've always been dual blade. Yeah.
Mm.
I mean, I've considered it before for like leveling, but my approach to the game is like I prefer just playing what I enjoy and am comfortable with
Mm-hmm.
more than like trying to grind out obscure uh advantages. Like
Mm-hmm.
leveling on Night Lord is faster, but
Yep.
I just love dual blade so much that I kind of stuck with it. But
Okay.
who knows what's in the future, right?
Yeah, I'll probably
Maybe I'll.
change if you're trying to get past 250. Let's be honest.
Yeah, I don't want to.
Because
It was
apparently
pretty brutal.
250 plus is pretty it's pretty rough on DB compared to Night Lord,
Yeah.
from what I heard. Or it's
Uh-huh.
just yeah. Well, once the Assassin's Mark get like a decent kill speed, it just becomes so much easier. Yeah, that's what I.
Yeah, because my main source of income for a long time was the Bye Bye Kana before that was removed.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't have an active farmer after that, so I kind of just made my dual blade have Meso gear and farmed on that.
Yep.
But like the rates are like not good.
Yeah, it really depends on what kind of maps you're in, and if you sacrifice a lot of the rotation for looting, and then your experience drops, and if you just go full on experience, your rates drop dramatically because all the money just starts disappearing. You really have to, yeah, get your priorities straight there and make sure you're doing what
Yeah.
makes sense for you. Yeah, so Oz is definitely a possibility. If I mean, I would say just like check it out and see if you enjoy it. There's some extensive guides online that take you through the whole thing. It's a slow build-up process in the beginning. I don't know if are you familiar with like the concept with the pills and everything?
Uh, Not really.
Because you start with like one pill slot, and then the pill that you equip gives you an extended timer. And then the further you get, the more points you get per run, and you can clear a certain amount of floors per day. And then when you reach a certain amount of points, you can unlock extra pill slots, and then you can equip multiple pills that give you multiple time extensions. And
Okay.
then, yeah, like when you get to the maximum amount, you'll get the maximum time extension, and hopefully you get to the final floor. And then I think it's every 10 floors or maybe every 15 floor. I'm not 100% sure. There's like a kind of like a boss fight that has a chance to drop um, the ring boxes, and then the lower level bosses they are, the lower the quality of the rings generally from the boxes. And then yeah, the more
Okay.
floors you do, the more bosses you clear, the more boxes you get, and then the more chances you get on hopefully a good ring, basically.
Yeah.
But yeah, you could check it out, see if it's fun content for you. It might be a nice change of pace as well if you feel like you're a little bit stuck. Maybe something that can rekindle some of the fun you can have with your character, because you know you have a solid character to work with. So
Yeah,
it could
for
be
sure.
fun.
I'll definitely check it out.
All right. So let's see. So how are you doing with your arcane symbols? What floor in Dream Defender are you clearing?
100.
100. Okay, that's fine then. Should be clearing in no time. You find it like tricky to do your dailies every day?
No, my dailies take uh 20 minutes at most. It's fine.
Just doing all of them? Yeah. Yeah, it seems like you have max skip, you don't have choo choo,
Yeah,
arcane.
exactly.
Yeah, it's just a matter of waiting. And yeah, whenever there's like an event or something, you just try to dip into as many symbol selector coupons as possible just to speed it up a little bit, I guess.
Yeah, I typed them into a calculator to see how long it takes to max them all,
Mm-hmm.
and like the first four were fine, but in the last two it was like 200, like 90 days or something done.
Yeah, I think it's
So
yeah, even yeah, if you have events then it speeds up. I think without events it's like 10 or 11 months I think for Isfera until
yeah,
yeah, it's pretty rough. But yeah, if you have events, everything just directly goes into it, right? Sunny Sunday with 20 extra. Um, the what was it? The River City and the Yam Yam Island
yep,
have prequests that give you 20 each, so it does speed up. You know, the boxes now, event stores, like, so it does end up being faster. But yeah, it is, it is. It can be kind of a drag. But you're getting close to the extra arcane power for Will as well, so that'll be nice.
yeah. That's why I was boosting it up a little bit. I
Mm-hmm.
wanted to see if I could get to that threshold, but yeah, I don't know.
Are you? Let's see. Oh yeah, okay. So you've got like what, like 4 levels in it or something,
Yes.
and then
I'm
30
probably gonna
from the
reset
guilds.
my. I'm gonna reset my hyper soon because, uh, you know when you have like not enough to get something big,
Mm-hmm.
so you kind of just like fill it into something else.
Yeah, and then
uh,
slowly over time, all of the fills of the other things together
yeah,
are end up being enough for one big again. Yeah.
it's disgusting. So I'm gonna reset it really soon.
Yeah. No, no, I get it. Like it's kind of like your Legion in the beginning. The pieces like stick out everywhere, and it's very suboptimal. But then you get the 4K or you get the 6K, and it's like, okay, now it's time to redo everything to make it fit. But yeah, in the meantime, it doesn't. It's not pretty. Like it looks
Yeah,
looks pretty shit. But yeah, it just happens. You know, it's
just how it is, man.
yeah, it's how it is. Okay, so I see that your boost nodes are coming along quite nicely. The is it is that Asura, the owl thing?
Yeah,
So that one still has some room for growth, right? That's still 20% final damage that can grow on there. That's nice.
yeah.
And you got everything twice neatly. Do you not use decent speed infusion?
I have it on the bar at the bottom. I was swapping it in and out because I didn't have enough node slots.
I would
But
always use it over decent advanced blessing.
okay, but I
Just
have another slot now because that screenshot was at 249.
I see. Okay.
So it's in there now.
It's
Don't
in
worry.
there now, yeah. And then do you use so that's like when you're mobbing, and then when you're bossing, what do you use then?
I swap out the decent holy symbol for the maple goddess,
Uh-huh.
and depending on the boss, like Golix was bugged with portals for a while, so I used rope lift instead of the will skill.
Yeah, okay.
And when I solo a boss, I use the bind instead of the will skill. So
Yeah.
it just depends.
I guess you're now at the point where if you can solo the boss, you can also solo it without the bind, and if you're doing something you can't solo, then someone else has a bind, so the bind kind of
Yeah,
like
it's not
falls.
used often.
Yeah, yeah. Okay. Yeah, it makes sense.
Like I was trying to like do solo easy lucid, and I
Mm-hmm.
wanted to take a bind with me, so I used it then.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. How far did you get with that?
Oh, I cleared easy. It's nice.
Yeah. Okay.
It was actually like the first attempt, I didn't get enough damage and I like timed out.
Mm-hmm.
And then the second time through, it was after like a few weeks of really gearing up, and I cleared it in like 20 minutes.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
So yeah, that's nice.
That's pretty. Yeah, that's pretty good. Okay. Links. Are you actively working on Links and Legion right now?
So as soon as I hit 6K Legion, I never touched another character again,
Mm-hmm.
which was like 2 months ago. And I stopped doing Legion and started my grind from 240 to 250.
Uh-huh.
Like at 240, my Legion was 6K, and at 250, it was 6,010. So like, I literally didn't touch any Legion characters in the time I leveled.
Yeah, I kind of feel it. I think I grew like 150 Legion levels in the last 2 years. Yeah.
To be fair, yours is a lot higher. So
Yeah, yeah, I got to like 8. Well, you don't really stop at 8K because if you just fill up all the characters and you have a few characters that are higher, you can very quickly get to like 8.2 or something. But then
yeah,
to get from 8.2 to 8.5 is like you have to like actively want to level a bunch of characters, which I don't want. So it takes forever. It goes at a snail's pace. Like Adele coming out got me some extra levels over 200, but you have to get levels only on 200 pluses already. Otherwise, nothing registers. So
Yeah.
it's a
And
pretty high bar.
my Legion looks a little disgusting because back before when I played this game for a while, there wasn't two sets of, you couldn't put your links on another character and then swap them back. So I had a few damage links, a second set for my Kana, so that I could keep farming. So like all those A tier ones are all like my second set of links from before.
I see.
So when I burn some new characters, those will get pushed out. But like, yeah.
Oh, so those are doubles as well for now. Double Hayato.
Anything that's A tier is a double.
Okay. So you're at what, like 4.1, 4.2 now?
4 point what?
Like just over 4,000 Legion, I mean?
Oh no, my total Legion level is 6k.
Oh, 6k now. Okay, good. Yeah. So you have the full grid. Yeah, the only push that's worth it after 6 is if you're going to 8. So that's something you have to realistically want.
I feel like it's just not worth it for me at the moment. Like, it's not like a priority.
The main value comes from so you want to add it all up, right? Which ones would it be? So you don't use that. You already have the Kana, so you don't use that. Hayata's already there, Shade. So a Jet would be 2% critical damage.
Yep.
Demon Avenger would be 5% damage if you get it to 210. And then another, is it 2% boss damage if you get to 200? I think
so.
Xenon would be a little bit of stat, but you use all those stats, so it's not horrible.
Yeah. I have considered going to do more Legion, but if I were to, I'd probably do a Jet and then some tier 3 links. And
yeah, but but then I guess you're thinking prioritizing the tier 3 ones that will help you bossing, right?
For sure, yeah.
Yeah. Because if you focus the tier 3 ones with experience first, then that'll help you build your entire Legion to 8k. But if you're not interested in doing that, then just going for the bossing ones makes more sense. What is possible though is that, so if you say just the bossing ones, but which ones would that be? Like would be the
I didn't really think that far. The Demon Avenger. No, it's Slayer's the boss damage. I could do Luminous for some more IED.
Probably the AB, right, for more bursts.
Oh yeah, I was gonna mention my AB. I was planning on making that like a second main for bossing and farming.
Weren't you in our party yesterday?
Oh yeah, the struggle. Yeah.
Yeah, because that name looked familiar.
Yeah.
That was an interesting run.
It was a very much a struggle.
I mean, it was good practice to stay alive, I guess.
Yeah, I got a bit annoyed during Lotus. The run before you came, they kept jumping under the platforms and breaking them all.
Yeah.
And since they're dual blades, they would just iframe it, but I would be screwed.
Yep.
I guess it's fine.
Yeah, sometimes your team just fucks you, yeah. So one thing you can do is, as soon as the lasers spawn, so try to be full health, right? Of course, at all times. And then right before the laser spawns, like you jump, you hit it, you heal, you get hit again, and then you jump again. And then if you don't have an up jump as AB, right? That's a little tricky. But then you flash jump, then there's a chance, because you don't die to a single laser tick, there's a chance that by the time you land like the third time that the laser is gone already. But there's a good chance you die for sure. But there are some, with an up jump you can pretty much play around it like that even if there's no platform. But yeah, if they just use their iframe to not get knocked back into the platform in the first place, so everyone can stand on the platform to survive, that would be the better order of operations.
Yeah. I'm sure it's gonna get better if we just like practice more.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, that's one of those things. You'll see, like, you see him do his jitter thing. You'll see the platforms faster. Maybe somebody calls it out faster, and then you make sure that you're not close to him so you don't get pushed around. Because you do get stunned for quite a while after you get pushed, and it's, you know, even if you don't mean to stand underneath the platforms, it's still sometimes it just happens.
Yeah, they force you to stand under it.
It's one of those things where running with more people almost makes them run harder than soloing.
Yeah, I always found carrying people was harder on my dual blade.
Yep.
Because, like,
Yeah,
I don't know.
They fuck you up.
Agreed.
Yeah. They make you wait, they fuck you up, then they loot your shit. It's quite thankless.
My first Helix carry I did, I was like telling everyone just like pet loot off, let me loot the gear, you guys get coins. And as soon as I killed the boss, someone popped the heart and took all the gear and left.
Yep.
So, yeah.
Yep. You heard it here, kids. Never carry anyone.
It's a tragedy, dude.
The thankless little bastards. Give him a finger and they'll take your whole arm.
Exactly.
No, it's you know, rotten apples and everything, but
Oh yeah, I still carry people. I just
yeah, you gotta be a
don't
little bit
take
more,
people who do that.
Yeah, be a little bit more careful and stuff. Okay, so how's your Legion coin income? Do you feel happy with that? Because then that's probably one of the driving factors why you would want to or not want to really expand your Legion.
It's enough to like buy out 10 XP coupons or 10 wealths. So it's enough to like whatever my desire is that week, I can do it.
But you
it
can't
would
double
be nice
up.
to have like both. Yeah, no, I can't double up. So it's all right, but like it would be nice to have more.
Yeah. Yeah, I think the main thing would be like just getting a bunch more 200s. If you think
Yeah,
about
for
it,
sure.
like getting a character from 140 to 200 isn't super hard. It's just about finding Pencilier that's kind of okay, a cold cubing it to 3% stat, and then maybe getting the emblem in a secondary, maybe getting it to epic or something with like 6% weapon attack or magic attack.
Yeah, and when I 6k, all the crit damage and crit rate, it's not too bad. Like I'm
Yeah,
doing
exactly. Yeah, you can move your links to a new character like at the end of the day, and then in the morning like start on it and get some levels in.
Yeah.
Yeah, I feel like it's for me. It's, you know, because I'm streaming it and I'm doing it like all day, every day. Like it's easier for me, of course. Like if you're planning around a schedule that you have, it can definitely be a lot trickier. But it is one of those things where if you just do a little bit regularly, then you will see like huge growth over a long period of time.
Yeah.
Because even if you're saying like I'm only doing like 20 levels per day on one of these characters or something, you know, on average, that means that you get 2 level 200s per week, right?
Yeah.
So then you're like 3 months in, and it's like 24 level 200s.
That's actually a lot.
Yeah.
I agree that Legion's better to do in like bite-sized chunks because like you don't just grind that out in one go.
Yeah, I could do that, but yeah. Maybe you have like one totem that you... Yeah, I don't know if you're like going through all your totems every month or...
Yeah, my totem supply gets like sucked up in the first couple weeks.
Yeah, okay. But yeah, because we didn't really talk about that, but you just have the one PC setup where you just do everything through one account?
I have 2 PCs and 3 accounts.
3 accounts, okay.
So I use... I have one Kish Mule that's 225 that I can bring to Arcana. And then I have one that's 200 that I can use to totem Link Mules.
I see, okay. Yeah.
So, yeah.
Yeah, so yeah, exactly, yeah.
I don't want my Arcana Kish Mule to like cut into my main's totems.
Yeah.
Or my farmer's totems. So that's why I have the third one for Legion Mule specifically.
Yeah, makes sense. Okay. Yeah, that would put you at a good advantage of getting that mileage out of your Legion. You have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 8, 12. So these are all your characters. These are 36 characters.
Did I miss a couple?
Wait, 4, 3, 12. Yeah, these are 36. So, but you probably have. Do you have like one of each character? or almost.
Um,
Well,
let
you
me
have some
think.
doubles in here as well, right?
I'm trying to see if I missed a page. Give me a second.
Because you have 36 and you have 1, 2, 3, 4. Those 5 lowest are doubles, so it's 31. So one extra page would get you to 43, which is pretty close to one of each.
Oh, I think I missed a set of 4 characters, and I have 40 total, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
So I have an Evan, Demon Slayer, Mercedes, and Aaron. I don't see that on there.
Oh yeah, there's no Evan here.
Yeah, Evan, Demon Slayer, Mercedes, and Aaron. I guess I just missed that one.
Evan,
But they're all
Deer,
140. So.
Uh-huh. Oh, and you have a double shade as well.
Oh, because, what's it called? I originally made the shade, but then Terra came out, the Terra Burner.
Uh-huh.
And I'm like, well, I don't want to, like, delete it, but I want to Terra Burn my shade.
Mm-hmm.
So I made a second one.
Yep. Yeah, I could see that. Okay. Yeah, so what it could be is just to make a list of, like, let's say I go from 6 to 8k Legion. What does that gain me? And just visualizing that.
Oh, like type out all the bonus stats I'd get from doing them?
Yes, like say, which characters would you level? How far would you get them? What would be the rank increase? What would be the link skill increase? And what would be the Legion grid amount of extra pieces you can put in? And what would that equate to? Just to write that out. And then just to see for yourself, like, is this worth it for me? Like, do I think this is good enough or not? Because now I think it stays a little bit abstract. And it's just like, it's just a bunch of training on characters that I don't really like. And that's just like a purely, just like this amorphous blob of like, eh. And
Yeah,
then,
I
yeah,
completely agree.
it's hard to get motivated for anything like that. But if you can put it into a list and be like, oh, if I actually do this, I gain like 10% critical rate, 5% critical damage, 5% IED that's stacked on already existing IED, 10% boss damage. I could get up to like, I don't know, like maybe like 20% buff duration extra for my grid or something. Like if you add all of those things up, maybe you can be like, oh shit, this is actually really good.
Yeah.
Yeah, maybe that can help you like realign that with, I guess, like with reality. Kind of sounds like what I'm saying is that you're like in a dream world, but like you have this right now, you have this feeling about it, right? So maybe it can help you either be like, okay, my feeling was right, I don't think this is worth, and then you have more of a solid foundation to be like, well, I looked at the numbers and it isn't worth it for me. Or you can look at the numbers and be like, oh shit, actually my feeling was maybe a little bit off, maybe I do need to do this, right?
Yeah, when all the gains are like so marginal per character,
Yeah,
it's hard to like visualize the outcome as
for
well.
sure.
So
Yeah.
you're
Hmm.
definitely right.
Yeah, and but as you already have more insight in the game, once you have these things in a list, you know what it takes to get these kind of gains on something else and how much that takes. Because
Yeah.
if the question is like, well, you get to spend 400 hours farming with maybe making these gains, or you spend those 400 hours training and you guarantee these gains, well, then it's a no-brainer, right?
Yeah.
Because then even though it might be a difficult way of grinding, a different way of training, but it's a guarantee, we always take the guarantee. But of course the guarantee only goes up to a certain point, right? You don't go all the way up to 10k Legion and a bunch of 250s, because then even though it's a guarantee, it's a crazy that's a
Yeah, the
crazy amount of
investment for
time
that
investment.
is
Yeah, so you'd rather go for like the chance and the gamble on things like potential and Star Force, right? So yeah, so I think there's definitely gains there, and I think definitely if you're trying to push past 250 or trying to min-max in 250, I think an 8k Legion might be worth it, especially if you have access to the extra computer, so that because that can take the kind of the weight off of needing those extra totems and keeping those with either your Kana or your main, whatever you're doing to fund your account at that point.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, so well, and that ties into directly with your link skills, of course, right? So do like member bonus, grid bonus, and then link skill increase, like, and put all of those like in one list. And I think you'll be surprised how much that actually is.
Yeah, I want to fix my links a little bit anyways. There's some that I don't really like. The
Like the archer.
adventurers, whatever.
Yeah.
That one's disgusting. I hate seeing it there, to be
Mm-hmm.
honest.
Maybe
But I
keen
can't like
edge.
figure out how to get the extra like 10% crit other than like inner ability or like a soul.
Well, if you have a marksman and a night lord, those will give you a little bit extra crit rate, higher level focus spirit and phantom instinct. So that's 5 extra here, 3 extra here, and then 2. I think 1% extra on both the marksman and the night lord, and that'll be your 10 extra, and then that basically completely replaces this one. And then you can also re-roll. So then that will introduce the Explorer Mage Link skill, right?
Oh yeah, I have one of those done, but I was taking a look at it and thought it looked really good. So I might make a bishop and fire poison, I think it is.
Yeah, bishop
And
is actually pretty
the...
fast, even if you're just getting to 140, because Holy Symbol gives you a shit ton of extra EXP when you kill things, and your leveling speed actually stays very, very high.
Yeah.
The other thing that you would definitely want to add, I think, is the Cadena Link skill into your set.
Oh, is that the
debuff?
Weaker opponents?
Yeah. So if your weaker opponent means you're just a higher level than your target, and then the other one is bosses being debuffed, which I think you already do as a dual blade, right?
Yeah.
Because you have the smoke bomb, and then you have your. Do you have like a bleed thing?
I have a poison, I think.
Oh, poison? Yeah, and then you would also have the Explorer Mage, and that would all stack together. And then the fact that
toxic venom, so it's like damage over time.
Yep, that counts. Yeah, I think you'll find, and then probably Keen Edge. I think could be replaced with the Jet Link skill. I think if you invest into that one.
Oh right, I was gonna ask about that. Is it worth doing? I highly considered doing it.
So I think I invested. So I wanted to get a lot of strength. I want to get weapon attack, strength, and dex, because that basically would cover almost all of the characters I played, because I was also considering my marksman at the time. And I think I have 34 attack, and then 32 strength and 29 dex around there, with the max for everything being 35, right? And that cost me about 2 bill to roll.
Okay.
Which is not too crazy, honestly. But then you have your cost to lock it, right? But yeah, I think that's manageable. You can lock it for up to a year. There is, however, though, apparently in Chinese MapleStory, where they have the Zen character, which is basically like a reskin of the Jet. They did change the link skill in that server, so I don't know if that's ever going to come to us or not. But it basically changed to like a Demon Slayer light, almost kind of like the Adele link skill, where it just gives you like damage, mainly boss damage, up to a certain amount. I think completely stacked up to 10% or something. So I'm not sure if we're gonna get the different one. If you're purely just going for luck and attack, I think you can get a very decent outcome within like 1 bill, maybe a little bit more.
Okay.
It just gets very expensive if you try to get multiple stats. Do you know how the rolling of the skill works?
I've seen it done in videos, but I've never done it myself. I'm pretty sure you're supposed to just get the pattern, and then you can rotate it or something.
Yeah, exactly. You have to. So it is different than the other things in that you have to just look for the pattern, and then once you get the pattern, just rotate it over. Done. So I would say just beforehand, it's kind of like with rolling the Chaos Ring. Just either have a certain amount of stats in mind that you want, or have a limit in mind I'm going to roll this many times, or like I'm going to spend this much money, so that when you're getting close to that amount of money, you're like, well, okay, if I'm trying to aim for 35 luck, 35 attack, of course, but like if I hit 31 luck and 33 attack, like is that enough for me, right? If you hit it on your second run, maybe you keep going, but if you're like, okay, I'm going to spend 1 bill, maybe 2 bill, and you're getting close to that amount, and then you hit it, and then you're like, okay, I'm going to settle for this.
I have some may sort of spend right now, like I could. So might not be a bad idea to get.
Because I think that's just objectively like a huge increase from the Keen Edge. You're kind of stuck with the Phantom Instinct. Elementalism usually gets like swapped out as well, but that one Elementalism usually gets swapped out for the Explorer. For the Explorer Mage, because it's like, go from 10% damage to 9% damage and 9% IED, right? Which is always an upgrade.
Yeah.
But I'm thinking like which I was missing like some link skill because you're even using the Spirit of Freedom. I see you're missing one Spirit of Freedom link, but you know that's you can always just increase to that.
Yeah.
Hang on, let's see. What am I missing here? So the Kadena for sure.
Arshel, yeah, okay.
You got the terms and conditions. You got the Focus Spirit. Oh, the Solus from Arc. Yeah, that one's also really good, and that one goes up to rank 3. That will definitely be highly advised
really?
to. Yeah.
Okay.
So Solus, as long as you just stay in combat, that gives you up to 11% damage. So that's like higher than Elementalism as long as you have it stacked. And then if you get it to level 3, it goes up to 16%.
It shouldn't be too hard to keep it stacked, so it's actually
No, yeah,
pretty solid increase.
it's kind of like the Ilium link, but then on steroids. Like it goes higher, and instead of having to move around a lot, you just have to use skills. Yeah, so it's both for mobbing and for bossing. It's like a really, really good base link. So if you can get the base link in, if you get Solus in instead of the Adventure Archer, swap out Elementalism with the Mage skill, and then swap out Keen Edge with a boosted Jet skill, and then basically level up. So get an extra Spirit of Freedom, level up your Wild Rage, level up your Light Wash, level up your Fury Unleashed, level up your Phantom Instinct, level up your Focus Spirit, and your Terms and Conditions. Then you're like completely set, I think, and you'll keep your 100% crit rate. And
so those are my best and select links there.
Pretty much,
the ones you mentioned. Okay.
There might be
really good actually.
There might be a few situations where you swap something. Like if you're doing hard Lotus, I think you swap out the Jet Link for the Cygnus stacked instead, because then if you do get stunned by something, you get stunned for shorter durations.
Wow. I didn't even consider that. Wow.
Yeah, it's a little bit min-max. Or if you're doing like a really hard boss when you might die out, you just take out Hybrid Logic maybe for like for the close call or something, you know, just in case it maybe helps you survive, because that will just have infinitely more value if it triggers than doing a little bit more damage on your burst.
Okay.
Yeah, but that will be, that will pretty much be your... The only thing is if you're going in a big party, you can also get a lot of damage from the Adele link.
Right. I have one at level 2.
Mm-hmm.
So I might, depending on the party size, I might swap it in.
I guess that will depend on the one thing you could swap it for, I guess, could be the Focus Spirit for the Adele, but then if your Legion is bigger, you could just put some points into critical rate in your Legion.
Yeah.
And then swap out the Focus Spirit. And then for mobbing, you will have the 0 link skill coming in like 6 months. For more experience. Yeah. Well, probably, I'm guessing it's going to be like early February, something like that.
Okay.
Like the end of the winter update. Maybe late January, you know, if they
if we're lucky.
Feel frisky. Well, it'll have to come to live servers in KMS first to have like full guarantee, but I don't think they're gonna do anything like majorly different from the test server to the live server, honestly.
Yeah, probably not.
But yeah, that'll be part of your list, right? that you make with the big differences. That'll definitely help you out with visualizing the gains, the possible gains from Legion and Link.
Yeah, I've definitely got a lot to work on.
Yeah. But yeah, it could definitely be overwhelming. So just take it one step at a time and then prioritize. So if you are going for 8K, I would say I think it would be very good to prioritize like Aaron, Evan, Mercedes, just to have that foundation of level 3 links that you can use to level everything up faster. I don't know if you've already taken the fake Absolab from the current relay.
I have it like available to me.
Okay.
I was debating on what character.
Yeah, because I really like the Evan Link skill. I think it's really, really good.
The rune duration?
Yeah, even with the reduced effect of the transform, it still has the long duration of the extra experience coupon, and I think it's just, or experience buff. And I think it's just really, really good to have that at level 3. But I didn't like leveling Evan at all, so I think giving that one an Absolab weapon is definitely something you could consider doing if you're, if you think it's worth for you, right, to go for the whole 8K thing. That would definitely be the direction I would look in to use that.
Yeah, I feel like 8K is not something you initially go for from 6K. You just like you do your tier 3 links and your essential legion slots, and it
Mm-hmm.
just happens like passively,
Yeah.
or at least the most part. And it's only like near the tail end you probably like go for it.
Yep. Okay. Is your Sweetwater Katara transposed?
Yes, thank
Okay.
God, dude.
Yeah, imagine rolling this on a non-transposed. Oh,
I would have hung myself, dude.
oh god. Oh, that would have been in the video game, right?
Oh yeah, in Minecraft.
In that in Hangman, you know that game where you like you guess the word and then yeah.
Yeah.
Um. Yeah. Yikes. No. Okay. That's good. It's good. Yeah. Um, wow, it's interesting to see you have no lines of boss, but you're still like past, still like 213 boss here. So that's it's pretty good.
Yeah, I don't even have any in my Legion. I'll explain later why if you look at that. But like,
Oh, I don't think I have the picture of your Legion grid.
oh,
I think that one fell off.
that's right. I
Yeah.
can just describe it to you if you don't want me to screenshot it. It's just I have it on IED because without it, I'm at like 82 visual or something.
Uh huh.
So, and that's even though I'm a dual blade, that's not acceptable for like bossing. So,
how does yours look?
um, I'll just screenshot it.
Yeah, you could screenshot it. Yeah. Because you have 6K. So that's 5.
The reason there's overlap is because I leveled up like a character recently.
Yeah, like I said, like it definitely happens when you're just we're just going as you're growing, and then yeah.
Yeah, I'm not gonna redeem my entire Legion for one square.
Come on, dude. Where's your min max spirit? You gotta.
I'll do it later, dude.
Yeah, later. At some point, it'll come. Yeah. Okay. Okay. Have
If
you
I
talked?
shift it to boss,
Yeah.
if I shift it to boss damage, it fits the entire thing pretty much. So
Mhm.
I could do boss damage instead if I were to roll like an ID line on a weapon or secondary or emblem or something.
Yeah, but that's one of the main thing as well is that you have a certain amount of spots available right now, but you're not getting the max value out of those spots, right? Because there's probably like 10 characters in there that are at least they're only level 140, that are only S tier, right? So,
Yeah.
so if those 10 characters all went from S tier to double S tier, then you're essentially like adding 3 to 4 more characters on your board. It's like the same thing.
Yeah.
So it's like the combination of getting the value out of the spots you have, plus also adding the new spots together that will just, I think it'll impress you if you really put all the numbers together and see like, oh, what this is. Yeah, that's got quite a
I'll
huge
definitely do
difference.
the math on it later.
Yeah.
I always saw Legion as one of those things that's like a lot of effort for marginal gain,
Mm-hmm.
but like it might be worth it compared to some other stuff I'd have to do for
In the
gains.
beginning, it definitely is because your character just has so much room for growth as well. But as your room for
Yeah.
growth on your character gets more, gets smaller and just gets way more expensive, comparatively, growing your legion becomes more and more appealing, especially because the growing of your legion is more like the peripheral stuff, right? It's like the critical rate, the boss damage, the ignore defense, the critical damage, like those things.
Yeah.
And those, for most of your upgrading on your character, you're just going attack stat. Like that's most of it, outside of your weapon, secondary, and emblem, and then the lines on your glove. Basically, your equipment works on this, and then your account, your legion, your links works on this, right? But it's all about the
Okay.
balance of these two things together that that brings your damage together on your character. So yeah, in the end, it's just about it's about the balance of the stuff, and the only determining factor there is time. Like how much time do you have to go around it?
Okay.
The one thing you'll probably end up with is that because you'll probably skip um, critical rate, right?
Yeah, I don't have any crit rate on my.
So you'll probably go like this instead.
Okay.
Because it's all about like as long as one of the pieces has their icon in one of these 4, So this way you won't have any
Yeah.
bleed over into like trying to go and make the corner here. It's a little bit min-maxy, but you know, if you just put it in here, you just do bam, like, you know, it takes like half a second and not even 134 millisecond. The computer's like, bam, here you go. Good luck.
Yeah, Legion Solver is useful.
Yeah. The one downside, but I don't know if Synergen can make it. I guess I'll send him a message, but the one downside is that if, like, let's say that I want to move this up here, that's like impossible with the current setup. You'll have to really start puzzling there. What I've done is I made my blocks like this, like those full areas, completely detached from the ones next to it. Like this line is like a completely, like a dividing line. So I could move this completely into here without any kind of overlap. So that could be like an added value to add to the algorithm to see if he can make that happen. I'm not into coding or anything, so I don't know if that's like doable at all. Maybe it could be a nice challenge for him. I think that could be a good added value to, you know, to the product. I'll send a message later. So it does 602 tests in 134 milliseconds. That's actually pretty.
That's a lot.
Look, it does it like faster every time. Bam. 21 milliseconds. How fast can it go, dude? 12, 11. Crazy. He knows. Yeah. But yeah, we keep going back to this. But yeah, that's already on your to-do list. That's on the number 1 on the to-do list.
Okay.
And let's get into the actual gear. So you're at 2. What were you? 2.2, 2.4?
Oh, 2.2 trillion.
2.2 trillion. Okay. Oh, I was gonna say one more thing. Oh yeah. When it comes to your Legion, have you talked to other dual blades about the value of maybe going into buff duration on your grid, if that's worth it at all?
Oh, no one's mentioned that in the, like, I'm really active in the Maple Central Discord for dual blades.
Yep.
But I've never really heard anyone talk about buff duration as like a Legion thing.
Okay, so
Maybe it's like really endgame min max if you're like 8k or something, but
yeah, maybe if you hit the crit, your 8k and boss damage ID and critical damage are filled. Maybe then that's what I was thinking. Yeah, maybe for at 8k or something. Yeah. But yeah, when that time comes, that'll be a little bit away from now. So when that time comes,
I'll be an old man. So.
Yeah, an old man. Okay, let's see. So I'm gonna.
Flame's a little bad.
Yeah, so I'm gonna keep everything to a pretty high standard. Like if this is your potential on your secondary, and then that makes this flame look like shit. Like basically.
Yeah. My flame is the tier 5. Don't judge me.
Yeah. Is this like what you get when you buy the item? Like this is what it came with?
I think like I had that flame since like before I quit like a while ago.
Mm-hmm.
So that's the flame of like a 230 dual blade.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah, it's definitely something that's good to settle for in the beginning. But like, yeah, if you're like reevaluating everything you have by the time you're 250, it's probably one of the first things on the chopping block, right? Because you know about the flame score, so like the extra value you get from an extra tier of weapon attack on your weapon is like insane gains compared to everything else you would be kind of min-maxing at that point.
Like I wrote out all my flame scores onto a notepad, and I was trying to see like what kind of standard do I want to like hold for each of my items, and I used your progression thing as like a reference, and so I might like splurge on some flames later to like try and meet that standard for like late game, end game.
Yeah, did that seem reasonable for your items?
Most of my items aren't at that standard yet, but I feel like I have enough Meso to do it anyways.
Okay. Wow.
And rip the decks on that.
Oh my god, that is.
When I saw that, I was like, "Oh no, dude, it's over."
Yeah. Ouch. Hey, what's up, Doof? I bet you would like this flame on your superior pendant. Good old 36 and 3.
Another thing I was going to mention about flames is I have a Dominator pendant and a Pat Mark, but I don't know if it's like at my level a worthwhile investment to flame those and buy flames for it. So I was going to mention that as well.
Yeah, that's good that you mentioned that. Honestly, if everything is 17 and like 2 line or plus, You're probably at that stage where you're heavily considering the transposing and moving into that. Yeah.
Oh, and my hat is kind of a rip because
Yeah.
2-line cooldown
Yeah.
is ideal on Dual Blade, but I couldn't bring myself to do it.
Yeah.
I couldn't bring myself to re-roll that.
No, I get that. Yeah. Oof. Of course, when you're going for lines of cooldown, then you get this.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I don't have it in me to re-roll that.
that's how it always goes. Have you? Well, since you are active on a Discord, have you talked about with other people if it's like really worth re-rolling out of this?
Oh, it is. Yeah. The general consensus is that like it's like a 4% battle analysis increase or something.
Mm-hmm.
So like
Both for
it
mobbing and
should do
bossing,
it.
right?
Mobbing. I have a second hat for cooldown for
Okay. Yeah.
mobbing,
Mm-hmm.
so that I can still farm decently efficient.
Yeah, and it's still one-shotting, so it doesn't matter. But then for bossing,
Exactly.
yeah,
Yeah, exactly.
because it does affect the cooldown of your two major fifth job skills, which is like a huge chunk of your DPS, right?
Yeah.
Wait, have you done battle analysis with those two different hats and seen any difference?
My second hat has like a terrible second and third line
Mm-hmm.
and like 12 stars, so it wouldn't be fair to do the comparison.
Yeah.
I don't want to like reflame it, star it, and all that just to
Yeah.
like
I see,
do an
I see.
experiment where I'm probably gonna throw it away.
You're aware of your endgame value for Allstat, right?
Yeah, I believe since I have 2 secondary stats,
Exactly.
it's like 9. It's like 9 stat a late game and 10 stat end game.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it does scale very well for you. It's probably why these pants still, even though it's no no full luck lines, it's actually still probably pretty decent.
Yeah, I have most of my gear is 3-line.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's like 12 items out of 18 if you don't include the weapon secondary emblem.
Mm-hmm.
But it's probably a mistake to do that to 3-line before star forcing because I can't transfer hammer and do that meta.
Yeah.
So if I ever go for
those are
20
the-
star apps though, I'm gonna have to like board up some spares.
Exactly. Those are the two main things that I guess we'll talk about, right? Because when it comes to like the real thing that you got to do is you got to push past 17 stars. Like that's the only way to go at this point. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't really mind hoarding up spares. Like I don't mind doing the weeklies on a few characters and like I don't know. If I start doing hard damage and Lotus, maybe I'll get like Pete's drops or something. So.
Yeah, for sure, yeah, for Abzo backups, yeah.
Yeah, so I don't really mind like
for the
that I have
cape,
good potentials on them.
I guess for the cape and the glove, you might want to keep that. Because those are pretty tricky to get back. Well, pretty tricky, insanely tricky to get back.
Yeah, they're pretty disgusting. To be honest.
The shoe and the shoulder, like I mean, it's really good, of course, but that is always pretty doable to recube.
The shoulder maybe because like there's no flame on it anyways, and I think shoulder is one of those items that doesn't have many trash lines, so
yeah,
that one for sure might be pretty.
Although on the other side, it's also one of the hardest ones to get like to get the 150s for, because it's just one run a day of Madman and then praying for a shoulder drop.
That's true.
So that'll be a process for like a long period of time, but it is definitely doable.
Okay.
Yeah, so we can look at do you want to go like equip by equip to see like what would be the best thing to do, just keeping in mind the general thing, right? Well, so let's do like the accessories in general. So what you'll probably want to aim for, right, is the high star force superior earring. Yep. You're currently using 17 star earring, right? Wait, where did it go?
Yeah, everything's 17.
Where did you go? Oh, here. Yeah, so it doesn't have like insane flame, doesn't have insane potential yet. So transfer hammer is definitely probably the way to go. I don't know. So you have no backups. What's your superior backup right now?
Oh, I have 2 belts and like 1,400 coins.
Okay.
So I could have 2 more earrings, I guess, if I wanted to.
Yeah. Do you have a bunch of like reinforced earrings?
No, I usually drop other stuff.
Okay. Because
reinforced. Should I save them up or?
I would save reinforced earrings because and try to go for like high star force on those, and then transfer hammer them into the superior earring. If you don't have any
Oh,
backups, that would be the
I
way to
see.
go. Yeah, and they are. If you do Helix on the daily, they should be. You should get those at a decent rate,
Okay.
like 1 or 2 a week at least. Yeah. Yeah, because if you have to buy them from the shop, that's 450, or you could just get them as a drop, right? And then every time you
Yeah.
do Helix, you have a chance of. You have no problem with Helix, right? That's just
No, I like one shot it pretty much.
yeah, it's a burst it down. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. I would say reinforce earrings, so that you have a backup there. Basically, I'll just talk about like which backups you want to save up, and then you save up money, and then you wait for 30% off, and then you just go ham.
Okay.
And then if you reach anything, you can transfer hammer over and work on that. And if you don't reach anything, you just start saving up again, basically.
Okay.
It's got a yeah. It's just 100% RNG dependent during the during the event itself. Like you can have a great event, or you can have one where you just literally lose like 100 bill and get nothing for it. It'll
Yeah.
depend on
The
how
game-
high you go, right? So there's two main things you can do. You can aim for 21 transfer hammer, and then try to go from, and then once everything is transferred at 20, or Star Force 220 with backups, right? Depending on the Absolab stuff.
Yeah.
And then just save up again from there, and then have some backups, and then see if you just want to get, just tap at 20 to 21 on the items, or you can rewind back to the first situation and just go for 22, and then transfer hammer into 21 directly. The second option on paper is safer, but more expensive.
Yeah, I'd probably do the first option, honestly. I'd rather just go to 20.
Yeah, the first one on average is cheaper, but there is a chance. Like, let's say you do 21 star reinforced into 20 star superior, and then you blow your superior up from 20 to 21. At that point, you're kind of fucked, right? So you need a superior Golix backup, at least one, to be able to try that. And then even if you do, then you have a 12 star superior, and then you would have to do the whole thing again from the beginning. That can be very demoralizing. So it depends on how risk aversive you are and how realistic you think it is. But you wouldn't try that unless you have a superior earring backup.
Yeah.
And it is a pretty long process, right? Because everything would be 20 at that point. So we're talking about a process of probably months at least, anyway.
Yeah.
So that is potentially like 100 Helix runs where hopefully you get at least one earring, maybe 2 backups.
I would hope.
Yeah. And a whole lot of coins, right? So there's always the option for that as well. But the coins, the reason I don't want to really tap into the coins when it comes to this is because you will probably need those for the rings. But we'll get to that in a second. Okay, so that, and then so if you have the Dominator, I would definitely say that it is probably starting to be about time to start throwing flames on Pap Mark and Dominator.
Okay.
And try to aim for anywhere between 105, 115 flame score is typically where people aim for. You probably aim for the higher end because of the value increase of all stats. So you probably aim like 110, 115.
Okay.
It's totally up to you. If you feel like, okay, I've already dumped like 10 bill into flames and I'm not getting anything, and I hit like a 104 or something, I'm gonna keep this. Like, fuck everything.
Yeah, if I was the Meso now,
Mhm.
you can maybe answer after, but like, I was kind of wondering like the most effective way to use that Meso would be, because I also have like, I mentioned the Angelica Buster before. I kind of wanted to gear that up as well and like make that a second main for bossing and like Meso farming later on. So I don't know if maybe I should just hold off on spending Meso and nodes that I have right now, because I do have quite a bit like of nodes saved up as well. So I don't know.
Because the AB is just flat at 200. Do you feel like there's a
It's pretty
huge
mean.
do you feel like there's a huge rift between where it is and being like is it struggle CRA ready or not at all?
Yeah, I could probably struggle CRA. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I also have some Golix equips on the Angelica Buster from before the
From
rework
before?
happened,
Mm-hmm.
and I trade carries usually with some people, so
Okay.
it's almost got a full set of superior now.
Oh, that'll help a lot. 30 ID.
So it's actually like pretty decent. And I had this idea before I quit, so my weapon, my secondary and emblem are legendary as well. So like, it's not terrible. It's definitely like, if I threw a few bill at it and like gave it some nodes, it could probably farm like Lachlan or something pretty decently, but it might not be worth it at the moment.
Yeah. So which bosses did you have in mind to do with it? Like up to Lotus and Damien, or just CRA, or?
Like short term, long term, because like short term I could definitely do CRA,
Uh huh.
but long term I definitely wanted to get to that point eventually.
Okay. So like solo Lotus and Damien.
Yeah,
Yeah.
eventually.
Eventually. Okay.
But I'm not in like
Um.
a rush to do it or anything. Like,
Okay. No.
I'm
No.
chilling.
Sure. No. Yeah, it's just that like all of the upgrades you want to do with your DB, and if you really want to push for those hard bosses, I think the amount of the best thing you can do to make your Angelic Buster stronger at this point is just like leveling it more and accessing more Arcane River areas and like
Okay.
Arcane Power boosting it. And then once
Yeah.
you settle into like level 220, 225 or something, to then see where you're at and see if you need like a boost to be able to solo Lotus and Damien. But in the meantime, just save it up with the intent to throw it all at your dual blade is what I would do.
Okay. Because there's also like, I kind of like the idea of like making my Angelic Buster find its own way and like
Mm-hmm.
play it as if I was like if I didn't have my dual blade and not like giga fund it. So
Well, remember
I
if
can think.
if you end up working on the Legion, that's gonna fund both of your characters, right? So that's also gonna make the Angelic Buster stronger.
Very true.
That's one of the big values I think about Legion is that it well it helps your main get stronger, but it helps every single character that you decide to play after that also get a huge boost. And in
Okay.
that way, it's kind of unparalleled funding for all of your characters. So that's why I like to emphasize it quite a bit.
Yeah.
Because yeah, those numbers that you figure out are also going to go into your Angelic Buster, and then comparatively to what your Angelic Buster already has, percentually, it's going to be a way bigger increase to what they've got going on for them.
Yeah. I'll probably
So,
opt to spend my nose and Mesa on my dual blade because I want to push it to that like next level of bossing.
you want to max out
So
your Asura and stuff.
yeah, exactly. So I've
Yeah,
got like 500, so I can max out a couple skill nodes as well, like
yeah,
Shadow Walker and Last Resort,
yeah,
and
exactly.
that'll also be like a pretty big boost. I
Yeah,
think
I
if I max them
underestimated
right
how
now,
many it took to really max out like those last skill nodes. I underestimated that
uh,
on my character. Like you have to open a lot of those just to because you as you're going, you just kind of you just open 20 here, 50 here, you open 10 there, but you don't
yeah,
really keep track of how many nodes you've actually thrown into a character. Then I was like, oh, I want to max out these skills. Let me just open like 100 nodes, and then I
no,
went from like
it's
level
like
1 to level 9, and it's like, oh my god, what the fuck?
yeah, it's like 300 or something.
It's pretty nuts. Yeah, how expensive it
Because
can get.
I like to do grinds in like big bursts and like open in big chunks.
Mm-hmm.
Because if I open like 10 nodes at a time, I don't feel the difference that much.
Nope. Yeah.
But if I get done like a month grind from 240 to 250,
Yep.
or like a month and a half, I like I really felt the meso and nodes
Yep.
from doing that,
Mm-hmm.
and I don't know, something more satisfying about doing it in like chunks.
Yeah, you gotta kind of use your psychology in your favor because if you know that that's the effect of what you're doing, then you got to use it for good and not for evil, right? You got to make sure that
Yeah,
it helps you instead of that it makes you feel like, oh well, that wasn't very helpful. Because then, where's your motivation going to come from the next time when you want to make that push, right? Like it's going to be even harder to motivate yourself. So, if you know that that's what gives you
exactly.
motivation, then you gotta use that for you. Um, yeah, I think you learn these kind of things as well when you're like in school and studying and stuff. Like some things just don't motivate you, other things do. So you kind of gotta find what makes you want to actually get down and study the stuff, and not be like, well,
Yeah,
that was useless. I'm never gonna use that knowledge again because then, poof, good luck next time. Like if it was already that rough the first time, you're not gonna go back to the, not gonna hit the books with any kind of motivation next time. So yeah, just find what works for you.
yeah,
Um, I like doing that too. Like you kind of gimp yourself in the short term because you're not using it, but then in the long term, it just feels better because you feel that rush of like huge increase. You actually see the numbers go up. You can see the difference when you're fighting a boss. Like, oh wow, that was way faster than last time. Yeah,
yeah.
but if you're
So I'm
slowly
probably gonna
building up,
use
yeah,
yeah, I'm probably gonna use all my nodes after this and like maybe dump some money into flames and see if I can do another BA and maybe I meet that 2.5 threshold and I can like I don't know
yeah,
because what's it called? Those two skills I mentioned, Last Resort and Shadow Walker. If I max them right now, it would be 6% final damage gain, and that's
Mhm.
pretty massive in my opinion.
That would be like 250, 240 mil extra, so you'd be close to 2.5, yeah.
And then I have Mesa.
Bill, yeah.
I have like 12 bill saved up,
Mm-hmm.
so I can get some decent flames as well.
Yeah. That's true. That's true.
Mainly my weapon, because that tier 5 flame is
Yeah, and it's quote
not
unquote
good.
only a tier 4 boss damage as well, so it's not like huge to roll away from that. Tier 6 all-stat is
Yeah.
very nice though.
Yeah.
Kind of evens it out.
My weapon and emblem, I feel like the 2-line prime attack is a blessing and a curse.
Yep.
Because like attack is good, and my ideal lines as a dual blade is 9 attack, 0 boss, 0 ID.
Mhm.
So I should be getting attack. But at the same time, I want a third line for boss, for
Yep.
like IED.
But the
so that I
only
can, like-
upgrade. So now you know what it's like to be a Demon Avenger, where we don't have all stats, so all of our potentials, like if you hit double prime HP, that's like, oh,
Yeah.
that's really cool. But then the only upgrade is hitting 3-line.
Yeah.
There's like no in
It feels
between.
like I don't know like how I want to approach that, or if it's even worth it to like reiki a bit.
Yeah.
Probably not right now.
It's gonna be tricky. I think what you're gonna end up doing with your weapon is probably getting a Fafnir to 21, transfer hammering it in,
Yeah.
and then you'll have to recube it anyway. So then
Or just
you'll
wait till I'm 80 years old and have my arcane weapon.
yeah, or just pray for get like enough extra damage and pray for a drop, and then just solely focus on that. That would be the other option. Yeah.
Exactly.
Concerning since it's a weapon and everything, and you can get the Arcane's pizza cutter as a drop, you could definitely make an argument for just improving the flame, keeping it as is, improving all the other stuff, and then entering the party and then hoping for a drop. But how many droplets do you have? I think you had a picture at the end, right?
Yeah, I was like 83.
83, yeah. Just a
So-
third of the way. Well, over a third of the way now.
Yeah.
I'm still looking at the old numbers in my head.
The 240.
Yeah, the 240. So it's like 216 now? Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, it's a lot. It's kind of
Brutal.
mind-blowing that I got enough to buy 2 weapons, actually. Now that I think about
Wow.
it, that's quite a lot.
Yeah, it is a lot actually. I had a like pretty bad drop rate
Mhm.
leveling up to 230.
Yeah.
So I didn't have like much from like Latchland, or
Mhm.
like even at 240 I didn't get much drop rate. It wasn't until like the last 10 levels that I really like.
Well, you can see,
You
yeah,
know.
and then over a long period of time, you can definitely see the increase in how many you get back from that, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. You're 2.2. You could do 2.4. Throwing notes at Links and Legion is nice, but that's not going to come into play immediately. That's going to take a while, even if you decide to do that. We're talking about backups. I think that's the thing to focus on right now. So for earrings, the reinforced earrings backup, save those up. For pendants, you can that pendants is like the very tricky one. Do you have like spare dominators?
Oh, I think I have one. I haven't really been doing arc since I got mine. 'Cause,
Yeah.
like, I don't need it. But
Well-
if I do need it, then
Well, you kind of
can
need it,
spend
right?
more.
Because you also want to get primal essences.
yeah.
And those also drop from arc. So I would definitely put normal arc in your daily rotation. It's very fast for you. You can just put on your drop rate and just like mow them
Yeah.
down. I would definitely have that one in your daily rotation.
Okay.
Preferably on as many characters as possible, because primals are just transferable through your account.
All right.
And not only do you want to get a high star Meister, but you probably want to get another high star Meister to transfer hammer into the superior as well. So you want to get 2 high star ones. So you would need quite a bunch of primals. Like getting at least like 8 or something is highly advised before you start
Okay.
the big project.
Yeah, I didn't start doing like mining and herbalism until recently.
I
I kind of like neglected it for a while.
Mm-hmm.
It seemed like so uninteresting that I just didn't bother.
It is very uninteresting. But then when you get to the point where you want to make the stuff and you don't have any materials, that's when
Yeah.
you notice how what the
Yeah.
value, how good it would have been if you had done it the whole time. Yeah, it's yeah, it's one of the sometimes you don't take my advice and then
Oops.
you end up it ends up so maybe you end up not caring and then it was good for you and then but if you do end up caring then it's like damn, yeah, wish I had started that sooner. So for the
For
people at
sure.
home, if you're just starting out and if you do want to ever get to this point or beyond, get your herbalism, get your mining, always harvest all of the big flowers and all the big veins you see. Keep the high level materials, okay? You'll thank me in like a year or
Yeah.
a year and a half.
Let me be your lesson.
Yeah.
Don't end up at 250 with one primal that you got from me.
Yeah, because it
They
it
get
just
locked
limits
on.
your options severely.
Yeah.
Yeah. Scarmo? Wait, you had to go find the veins in the rocks for Gal so he can harvest them? Yeah, okay, don't tell the streamer you watch his mom to go do your dirty work for you, okay? Gal, we're gonna have a conversation about that later. Okay. Good. So that's earring. Yeah. So that's pretty straightforward. Yeah. So you don't have to bother with Meister earring and everything. That's just out of place. Dominator.
Yep.
So that'll give you option. You don't have any backup pendants, but you technically have a second pendant, right? So that's technically one backup, I guess.
Yeah.
Feels a little weird having a 17-star, basically 3-land unique as a backup, but is what it is.
Yeah.
That will be. Yeah, that's gonna be the tricky one. So the backups for is gonna be extra dominators, right? And trying to get one dominator to high star force and transfer hammer it into your superior, because that's the only 140 that's readily available. The only other one was reinforced, but if you didn't keep any backups of that long time ago, then the only way to get them is by buying them, and that's going to be super expensive.
Yeah, I'm not gonna do that. Fine.
Yeah, so extra dominators. So definitely normal arc on the list, I would say.
Okay.
And how much drop rate do you have? Because it might be worth for you investing into drop rate maybe first. Because if the way to get there is getting a bunch of backups for stuff, you might speed up that process, of course, by getting into drop rate first.
That's a good point, because I used Meso to farm on my dual blade when I was leveling up.
Mm-hmm.
But now that I'm 250, I don't really use the Meso gear anymore.
Mm-hmm.
So I have 100 right now, 100, 100.
Mm-hmm.
And so I could reroll my Meso into drop, I guess. And then get 200% if I wanted to. And then I also have decent Holy Symbol and the Spider. So.
Do you make money off... Because you have the Kana, right? Do you farm on that?
Yeah. Funny thing about the Kana. I have it, and it can farm Latch, like, decently. But, like, I hate the class so much that I, like... Oh, man. I never want to touch it again, aside from, like, leveling it a couple times and then doing some bosses.
Mm-hmm.
But, like, if I have to, I'll probably do it a little bit. Yeah. The Kana is not really, like, something I want to do anymore.
Okay.
I was kind of, like, following the meta and, like, doing what I was told. But then I realized that it's, like...
Is eating
if I
away
kept
your
playing
soul.
Kana... Yeah, I was gonna... I'd much rather progress, like, slowly and, like, at my own pace.
Yeah, and actually
like,
have
enjoy
fun.
the game.
Yeah.
Yeah, and enjoy the game, than, like, burn out and quit within 2 weeks.
Yeah, then I crashed and burned.
Because I, like, forced myself to follow this, like, meta. I don't know.
Yeah. What I would do with your main is not reroll the Mezzo stuff, because if you do plan on leveling past at some point, then you'd have to reroll it again.
I guess.
And that would be expensive. As we say over here, that's an expensive joke. So what would be doable is to isolate the equips that you have that only have Mezzo obtained, because you have 100, so you have one double line.
Yeah, it's a double Meso though.
Double Mezzo, okay. So that means you only have 4 Mezzo equips, right?
Yeah.
So what would be an option is isolating those 4 Mezzo equips and replacing those with other items instead and getting drop rate on those in Legendary.
Yeah.
And then just wearing just full on drop rate if you're doing the bossing and stuff, and then switch out those 4 items for the 4 Mezzo ones when you're training.
Yeah, the only thing really is that like, you said I could Mesa farm my dual blade afterwards, but, like,
or as Night Lord, but then
Oh, that's true.
the equips are
Yeah, I
universal,
always think of
so
that.
yeah.
Because like dual blade meso farming past 250, you leave LP1 because it's way too
Yeah.
high level.
Yeah.
And the next like map usually is it's either Spiders or Radiant Temple 3.
Okay.
But Radiant Temple 3 map is so big that like you can't collect all the meso pouches
No.
from the platforms.
No, it's horrible, yeah.
So the meso rates there are like disgusting bad.
Are there no Moonbridge maps that are maybe okay-ish?
I've asked around, but like the consensus is that like everyone just switches to Night Lord, so nobody really knows.
Yeah, exactly. Because it's just so much better, right?
Yeah.
Hmm.
So I might have to. I'll probably just like keep it and switch to Night Lord to farm a bit later on, but like, we'll see.
Yeah, I think it keeps your options open more, and it's not. It feels like a huge, but like getting 4 items, getting 4 accessories to like align the drop rate and legendary, even if you like just have them, don't even have them right now, so you have to start from scratch. It's probably only going to cost you like around 4 bill.
Yeah.
Which is like in the grand scheme of things of the upgrades that we're looking at is like a very small amount, right? And if it keeps your options open, because if you roll into 4 bill, if you spend like let's say 1 bill or half a bill or something to get like all those items into drop rate, you'll make your money slower if you do training, if you do dailies, all of that stuff, and then you'll maybe want to get it back afterwards and then have to spend that money again. It'll just end up paying for itself because it seems like you're in this for the long run and you're at least going for hard Lucid, hard will, and maybe with another character and stuff. So maybe you will push for 260. Well, it's not like 250 or 275, right? You can push for 255 for max bonus damage to hard will, for example. You can push for 260 because that's like reasonable. I think that gives you bonus damage to Varishilla, and then 265 can give you bonus damage to Gloom and Darknell if you feel like doing that. So there are smaller increments now. It's not just like 250 or all the way, because that is a huge commitment to commit to 275. Like that's something that I'm definitely not willing to make either. So there are like steps in between, and then to have readily available meso obtain or drop rate gear in those situations, I think will make certain decisions just less of a huge commitment if you lay that foundation now. So that's what I would advise. So it was, if it's like extra rings or extra pendants, just replace those 4 items. And if you get lucky and you roll like another double line meso or something, then you can re-roll something you already had. Or if you roll double line drop, then you're gonna get even more rewards, and you'll end up getting more nodes, which can filter back into your Angelic Buster faster later as well.
That's true.
Yeah. And did you see that in KMS they're adding droplets to the higher level areas?
Oh, right. I remember seeing that.
And if you're going to the higher level areas and you can't really loot well anyway, then you could just go in full drop to train there and just get more droplets.
Yeah. Maybe the higher maps will have some better dual blade maps.
Maybe, yeah, they are changing a little bit of the layouts as well. So we're going to be looking at a lot of map changes in the coming like 4 to 6 months, I think.
Yeah.
So it'll be interesting to see if maybe dual blades can actually stay dual blades. Maybe Night Lord gets even better comparatively, and it's even more of a brain dead option.
I'll probably still have to transfer.
Yeah.
But I can hope.
Yeah, you could wish, because if you really like playing the class, then you want to not be forced to play something differently.
Yeah, have a gun to my head.
Yeah, it's like, well, if you want to advance, you got to do this. Yeah, I think that's what really sucks, but just how the balance is sometimes.
That's true.
Okay, so we were at the pendant, Dominator backups. Good luck with that. But then getting the extra drop rate will hopefully increase your drop rate for Dominators and Primals to a huge extent.
Yep.
Belt backup is also kind of a meme, right? So you're gonna have to, what is it? Pink bean belt, I guess. Is 140, right?
I think so.
Because the drops are probably not going to be too plentiful. But you don't have 3 line yet, right? So the best option would probably be Pink Bean Belt up to 21. Maybe for this one you can be like, I'm only going to transfer if it's 22. right? Because getting backups for belts and gambling that 20 to 21 might be a bit. It's kind of like a case by case, right? So like for the Dominator, it'd be like, well, fuck, getting enough Dominators to get to 22. That's kind of the problem. So maybe I settle for 20 on the superior pendant. But for the belt, it's like, well, you can get a lot of backups easily. So maybe it's worth going for the 22 and putting the risk on that side of the of the equation, so that it can come back to a 21-star superior, and then you're just done because backups are too hard. But maybe in building all of this up in 3 months, maybe you have like 8 backup superior belts, and you're like, fuck it, I'm just gonna go on superior belts until I have like only 1 or 2 backups, and then I'll go the route. Like if I get super unlucky and I blow up so many, just whatever seems statistically probable.
Okay.
Yeah, but that's gonna be. So you're gonna have to have a lot of space in your equip inventory. Okay, that's what we're gonna fill that up with a lot of backups.
Perfect.
Yeah, we'll talk about the how, because there's like 2 main ways, right? You can go 1 item at a time until you're done, or you could go like 1 star and basically frog leap everything.
I think I want to like no balls an item.
Yeah, you just go all the way.
Well.
To feel those huge upgrades.
All the way.
There is the benefit, right? Because if you go all the way, then you can take maybe a daily or 2 out of your rotation because you're done with that equip, right? And that can take the pressure off for all the time after that. That's like the added value. The downside is that money-wise, in the beginning, it's going to be a slower increase in rates from it. Yeah, because the amount of money you'll have to throw out before you can get a guaranteed upgrade is higher, of course. Because if you're just going 17 to 18 with like 30 bill, you could probably get like 8 items or something from 17 to 18. But with that kind of money, you're probably only getting 1 or 2 items from 17 to 22. But then once you get to the finish line and you get to the last part in the first wave, if you do 1 star at a time and you have everything at like 19, then it's going to start getting really bumpy. But in the other way, you already have a bunch of 20s, maybe a few 21s ready. And then it kind of passes the other way of doing it.
Yeah.
Solid Golix Ring drops from normal Golix.
Oh, like how many do I have, or like?
Well, here's a pickle. You want a bunch of coins. You want to be able to buy backups.
Yeah.
But Solid Golix Ring can become 20-star Golix Ring, can become a 20-star Golix Ring that transfers into your Kana Treasure Ring, so you don't have to risk blowing that one up, and can also transfer hammer into the Meister Ring.
Oh.
Which can lower significantly your risk of blowing those guys up, possibly getting those up to 20 or past, and then one to use, 1 to transfer hammer into the Superior. So there's a huge amount of value from getting Solid Golix rings dropped. How much do they cost if you buy them from the shop?
It's a good question.
Because I know it's 700, 450, and then is it 300?
I'm right next to it.
Okay, if you're close to it. 300 would make sense, but I'm not sure.
Solid is 250.
250. Okay.
Yeah, solid is 250.
Yeah, because there are definitely options there, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm not saying it's easy to just shit out for 20-star solids, but not having to risk blowing up your Kana Treasure, not having to risk blowing up your Reinforced, not having to risk blowing up the Meister if you're limited on primals is big amount of value.
For sure.
So... And you had 1,400 backup coins?
Yeah, I had 1,400 coins.
So, I think it's realistic. I think it would be realistic to aim for, say, 20-star Abzo, 21-star CRA, and then for most of your accessories, the ones that you transfer hammer, aim for 20-star after transfer, and aim for like 19 on the rings for like a 20 to 19 post transfer.
Okay.
I think that seems like a reasonable point to be at. And that, because if you want to push beyond that, you're always going to have to like risk blowing up your stuff. But at that point, we're talking about such huge amounts of money that that's something that at that point you'll have a way better look at that. Then you won't need to gear progression anymore. You'll be like, well, I know the risks. Like I've boomed a bunch of stuff now. I know how.
Yeah.
Because until you've actually been trying to get past 17, there's going to be highs and lows that only you can really. Okay, like I'm not gonna go through that emotional roller coaster again. Like this is too much, or you're like, okay, this is actually, this is worth it for me. I can still see the huge gains that are possible, etc., etc.
Yeah, I've watched videos on people star forcing like
and you see
past
that
17 on Arcanes,
mm-hmm.
and oh man, it looks so depressing, man. This guy would have like 600 drop waves or something, or 800, and I just watch as he booms it on his first try like twice in a row.
Yeah. Like you have the two extremes, right? You have like two videos where one guy just like one taps his where Tamir just like one taps his magic eye patch from 18 to 22, and then you have the other guy who just like boom arcane transfer, and then boom like 3 attempts later, and it's like rip 2,000 hours of farming and like in like 5 minutes. And it's like, okay.
Yeah. It's so funny to see those two things like juxtaposed.
Well, the average is
like
somewhere in
like
between.
One tap is fucking, it's disgusting.
Yeah, so depending on how naive, hopefully youthfully naive, or horribly jaded you are at that point, you can decide like I'm going to push further, or I'm going to invest a little bit more into the Angelic Buster. But at this point, when all of this is done, you're probably looking at. It feels weird, but like when some of the things are more min-maxed and all of the potential is up and everything, I think you could be looking at like almost doubling your damage on your BA.
Cool. That'd be nice.
Yeah.
And that's all the star forcing and the links and
because it's just a huge amount of weapon attack that will be coming your way. Huge amounts. And since you have a lot of percentage weapon attack, that's going to multiply like crazy. Yeah. Basically, all of your equips turn into mini weapons is usually how I see it for myself. Because now the things have like 20 attack, some are close to 30. The belt is at 50 because it has such huge base attack. But everything is doing like 20 to 25 attack. And then when you're done, everything is going to be like around 80 to 90 or something.
Oh, that's a lot actually.
Yeah, it's like 50 plus weapon attack on every single equip, so you add that up and it's just like you're equipping 2 extra weapons almost. It gets pretty crazy, but that's why it's so expensive, and that's why it takes such a huge amount of preparation, and that's why we wait for events, because without those it's virtually unaffordable, or just you have to brute force with so much farming. Okay, cool. We're not getting through this fast enough. Hang on. So solid Golix rings. I think the best thing, you have the backup for the coins. I would try to just do normal Golix a bunch of times. Once you have your drop rates gear set, right? See, just to make sure that maybe that helps. The jury isn't out on that one, but why tempt fate? Just try. Yeah. And just do a bunch of normal Golixes and see if you actually feel like you get a decent amount of solid rings. Because if you don't, still doing Helix basically gives you like a solid ring every week, right? Because of the coins. Roughly. Yeah. Because you get or every 9 days or something, right? So if the solid Golix ring drop rate is significantly lower than that, like if you don't get one within 2 weeks or something, then you're probably just wasting your time, right? But if you get one like every 3 or 4 days, that's like better value for you right now. So I would use that as kind of like a gradient to see like what should I be doing, because of course there's the added value of maybe getting extra earrings, maybe getting extra belts if you're doing Helix every day. But I don't know. I haven't heard from people to really see if there's numbers out there from people who are doing like normal Golix regularly to see if there's what that drop rate for the solid rings is. Because you could use a bunch of them, right? You could use one to get your solid Golix rings itself up to 20. You could get the kind of treasure ring to 19 after transferring, which wouldn't be a huge deal, right? Because you don't have the 3 line, you don't even have the 21, so there's no huge loss there. And then the step up into Meistering is definitely like the next thing that's going to happen. and then it all just depends. You just wear the four strongest rings that you end up with, and then if you do end up with one that's maybe not great, but so not your top number 5 basically, that one could go into the set to maybe replace one of the Mesoptane rings.
Okay.
Depending on what the time frame is, of course. Like if you already have them all set, then it's just sitting there. But let's say you do end up with the weakest one could be. I'm not sure if the 20-star solid is better than the 19 treasure. It's probably better by like a little bit. I'm gonna guess it has a little bit more attack, a little bit less stat. Is what I'm guessing. But
If my Conus treasure is slightly worse than the solid, do I just like go for it and Star Force it, or is the Conus treasure always going to stay at like 19 from the transfer?
so that would be something I would look into after this whole project is like finished.
Okay.
Once
Yeah,
all
it is
the
pretty
other stuff
long-term.
is done. Yeah, so it's pretty long term. You could I would either just use it as a strong drop rate ring, or YOLO, go for it. Yeah. That
Okay.
basically the main thing. But I think that you would try that after you are at least at so you would try to go for 19 to 20 reinforced before you do it on a Arcana treasure, right? Because the reinforced has backups and the Arcana treasure doesn't.
Okay.
So if you have like a 20, well, and if you go for 20 reinforced, you might as well try for 21 because the chance for blowing up from 19 to 20 is actually higher than from 20 to 21 because 20 to 21 can go down, but 19 can. So on average, that's actually more expensive. So I think you'll keep the kind of treasure unless until you have a 22 Meister, a 21 Superior, a 21 Reinforced, and at least a 20 Solid. And I think that's the only time where you try to get the kind of treasure past 19.
Okay.
So that kind of sets up the whole ring situation. Does it all make sense with like the Meisters and the and the solids and everything? Okay. Yes. So weapon-wise, I think you could do with just a better flame now. But if we set all of the other stuff in motion, I think you'll get enough damage to be able to join the run. And I don't know. You probably feel more in control by going for like the 21-star Fafnir and transfer hammer into the Abzo.
Yeah.
That will be strong. And then you can go all out on the potential and not have to. Yeah. Because then it's definitely worth the re-rolling, right? Now, if you're just re-rolling it just to re-roll, but the Star Force is staying the same, percentage-wise of the upgrade compared to the starting weapon, you're going to have to spend a lot of money to make that worth it. Or get super lucky, but we never count on that. Yeah. So weapon-wise, it's just Fafnir backups.
Okay.
But for all of these things, we're just waiting for 5, 10, 15 events. Or a no boom room, but there doesn't seem to be any of those on the way, so that's kind of like,
Yeah, big rip.
big rib. Hopefully this winter for KMS, maybe, so we get one in the summer, maybe, hopefully. But no boom rooms tend to be part of KMS's summer updates. So, yeah, since they haven't gotten one now, maybe summer 2021, so that'll be our winter 2021. So we're talking about like a year and a half from now. So, yeah, that's pretty long term.
Oh, no.
Katara is easy to get a bunch of backups for, right?
Yeah.
You probably have some lying around. It's just a
They clog up my inventory.
Yeah. Gold Maple Leaf Emblem is something I would do after this whole Transfer Hammer stuff is over. And aim, if there's some kind of cube sale that is unlimited and you can buy like 30 bill worth of red cubes, then I think you have a very decent shot at throwing it at it. If you have like leftover cubes, then you can always just recube accessories or equips that you have that aren't fully 3-lined with them. But it's basically like a max mezzo dump on sale into it to kind of like guarantee that you get that 30 attack. So.
All right.
So I would say that's after the star forcing thing, because until before that, even like 10, 15, maybe 20 bill is like a huge chunk that you can already throw into star forcing with a decent chance of gains. But I wouldn't throw that money at an emblem, just to casually try to go for 3-line, because then you have a very good shot at ending with less than what you have, and you don't want a black cube on 24. So
yeah.
Then that brings us to okay. So we talked about the belt, right? And
Yep.
is dependence clear for you? Because with the dominator and with the transposing and everything.
Yeah, that seems fine.
Okay. So yeah, that also means that you need a bunch of Dinero backups, right? Because I saw you had like 400. Is that the only stack you have?
Yeah,
Yeah.
I'm working on it now. I
Mhm.
also have to get my boat to the next
To Dreadnought,
level.
yeah. So reintroducing CPQ and the solo voyages back into your daily routine is probably a good idea. And then once you get to
Yeah.
Dreadnought, then the dailies will get very, very fast. Because we're also, of course, going to talk about the Sweetwater tattoo and about the monocle, right? So
Yeah.
you're gonna want some backups for sure. Okay. So CRA, I would probably aim for 21 stars on those, like directly, because you probably have
Yeah.
a huge pile of backups for that, right?
Of course. Yeah.
And that'll probably be one of the first things you aim for, just because you already have direct access to the backups. And some other items like the shoulders, like all of the accessories, might take a longer time to get backups for. So while you're waiting for that, you can do the thing that you like to do, like go all the way for one item at a time. I don't know how psychologically you are with like the 21 and the 22. Do you like care a lot that it's not 22, or are you
Oh no,
willing to
I'm
like
not
settle
like
for?
I'm fine with 2021.
Yeah,
Yeah.
because some people just
I'm
say
not-
see not 22, and it's like it's not done yet. Like
It's
that's
such
just
a risk, and then you have the potential to lose like the 2021 that you could have had,
Oh yeah,
and it's just like
yeah. And then you
I'm
have
not gonna
12.
fall into that pit trap. I'm
Yeah,
not.
no, it is a
I'm
huge
not.
trap. Yeah. Okay, no, that's good. That's good to know. Yeah, so let's take care of CRA, and I guess like re-cubing your pants is probably like something to do before the emblem.
Yeah.
To try to get that that full luck, and between the top, the bottom, and the hat, the bottom is supposed to be the easiest of the three. So you got the other ones.
And yeah,
so
I got really lucky with the hat and the
yeah, you
and
got
the
like
body.
reverse luck on there. So for earrings, we talked about that.
Yep.
For shoe, so shoe is gonna be just shoe and well, not glove because you get the double line. But for shoe, you can just buy the ancient root shoes from the Root Abyss shop.
Okay.
They're level 150, and then you can buy however many you need. But that's one of the items that isn't gonna like clog up your equip inventory. You can just buy them whenever, if an event comes and you have the money for it, and it's the shoe's turn to get enhanced, then then you can do that.
Yeah, I can buy it out. Yeah.
Yeah. One thing you could do is if there's a 30% off, you can use that to try to get like one of each of the stuff up to 15.
Oh.
To kind of like prep one of each, and then because if you get lucky and you don't get any booms, and you can get from 15 to 21 or 20, 21, like straight up without any booms, then you can it's another small gain, because it's probably only like 200 mil gain or something, but if it's on 6 or 7 equips, then it's another 1.5 bill that you just pocketed basically.
Yeah.
Yeah, so like one of each, and then if it booms, you can just easily run to the NPC and get a backup, because you probably have RA coins out the ass, probably like a huge stack somewhere.
Yeah.
So for cape, that's a double prime, so I would definitely go for backup capes. If you can join Hard Lotus, Hard Damien, Hard Lotus specifically, but that's gonna be tricky. No wait, cape is Lotus. That'd be tricky to get backups for. So that's gonna be Dark World Tree and Scrapyard Weeklies back on the menu, I guess. Both for,
I already did them, yeah.
Yeah, specifically for Scrapyard, right? Because for the gloves, you probably don't want to have to reroll it. 16% crit damage. That's pretty brutal too. Yeah.
Isn't it like 10 bill on average or something?
10, 11,
For
12
200.
around there. Yeah. It's
Cool.
it's like low. It's like between 10 and 12, I think, is like the. Yeah, if you compare that to. Yeah, and like I said, like it's a long process, and you get to whatever equip that you have backups for at that point, and you'll just get to this one a little bit later, and it's fine.
Okay.
But then by the time you get to it, you'll have a bunch of backups, and then hopefully you don't boom a lot of Abso, because that's not a good time.
Yeah.
For shoulder, so just Madman Ramaru and Hopefully he drops some juicy shoulders. Hopefully with the extra drop rate, right? Make sure you always have your familiar out. Holy symbol should be a decent drop rate. He also has the best drop rate for flames in the game, so also a good daily in general just to have in your rotation for that. Yeah. Yeah, and this is just Dineroville. It's going to be a lot of CPQing, solo voyaging, just to get a bunch
I'm
of
fine with
backups for
that.
these guys, yeah. And then decide what you want to aim for. Do you want to just do, you want to get to 19 first? You want to get to 20 first on everything? Like, it's kind of going to depend on how fast it goes and how many items you still have lying around that could make a huge gain. Yeah. I would say like aiming for 19 on everything as like a first step could be a good one, and then trying to push things from 19 to 21. For these, I would say, because these have the backups of, these have the downside of having a daily that kind of takes you out of your entire routine, kind of. And if you end up getting where you want to on these, then you can just stop doing the area completely, right?
Yeah, it's true.
So the faster you're done and know that you're done, but you also have the pendant coming in, so, and that one is even more expensive to replace. So you're definitely going to be doing this for a while. But yeah, because these are I think 300, and then the pendant is 350 or even 400. Yeah, it's
I
going
think
to
it's
be
400.
Yeah, it's pricey. That's why I stuck to 21 on all my stuff. I'm like, yeah, no, even though I have like 3,000 hours left, I'm like, I'm just not even trying to attempt. I'm not trying to do that.
Oh.
Yeah, 20 or 21 is like, that's fine for me. Because if
Yeah, I'm
everything
totally
is
fine with
20 or
that.
21, if everything gets to that point, you're strong, you know.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. So heart. So there's supposed to be a fairy heart coming out this winter with a winter event that was KMS's summer event. So that's gonna be level 100, I think. So it's gonna be a higher tier. So you don't have to invest anything into this. But then once we get that one, you can get 12.99 on that one. So that'll be a nice stat increase.
It's same potential as like
As
regular items.
As the one droid, yeah, it's like the same tier as that, yeah.
Oh, that's actually really good.
Yeah, that'll be really good. It'll cost 2 bill clean, but you know that's definitely
That's
worth
fine.
it. Yeah, that's
Take all
peanuts
my
at this
money,
point,
dude.
right? Yeah, just you're like the fry.
Can I get a badge for 2 bills?
Yeah, holy shit, yeah, I would jump on that. Pink Holy Cup. I guess flame wise, this is probably the one that you can work on the most. I didn't look at the CRA flames yet.
Oh, they're pretty bad, but
It's probably
my hat's fine. The pants are pretty terrible.
Pants. Yeah, pants and top can definitely use some work.
Yeah.
Yeah, the hat's yeah, definitely above board above the average compared to the other ones. But yeah, so flame wise, those can probably use some work. But I would definitely just focus my funds on just stacking it up when an event comes, and then doing the flaming as kind of like the icing on the cake once all that other stuff is done.
Okay.
Yeah.
So Star Force thing should be my main
Yeah, I would flame your weapon, and then kind of just leave flames as is. Like if you're doing bossing and you get some, throw them on Dominator Pendant, throw them on Papillata's Mark. But other than that, oh yeah, and for transposing, make sure you get into 16, right, before you transpose.
Yeah.
Just making sure. Yeah, because it's.
I did my Katara. I made sure I followed the protocol.
Okay, cool. Yeah, and then. Oh, you have this badge. Interesting.
Yeah, lucky me.
Yeah, it's well, you only would use 2 pieces of boss accessory set anyway, right?
Yeah.
It's just the cup and the yeah, just the cup and the badge, so it would be strictly worse to switch it out. Yeah. Yeah. Okay, that's pretty good. Yes, there's going to be backup hunting. Inventory is going to be full of stuff that hopefully you don't need, but you keep it in case shit goes sideways.
Yeah.
Mainly saving up money for 5, 10, 15. So whenever patch notes comes out, scroll all the way down to those lucky, those sunny Sundays, and see if there's any. If there's 30% off, then you can definitely look for the just to get your first copy of backups that you have already to 15, provided that you're going for for the transfer hammer approach, so not the glove and not the cape, right?
Yeah.
And then just have those ready for a 5, 10, 15. If a 5, 10, 15 happens first, then it's whatever. If a 1+1 up to 12 happens or something, then maybe you can get them up to 12 already or something. It's whatever. Or even up to 15. Getting from 10 to 15 on a 1+1 is also not too bad. You should skip the 11. The 11 when it works. Anything you can do to get a little bit of gains on everything, because it's a bunch of equips. So in total, this is going to be a huge and expensive project. But it's gonna be massive. It's gonna be major gains though, like the amount of like every single equip is basically gonna gain like the amount of weapon attack you have when you're flame on your weapon now, like on top of everything. It's gonna add up like crazy, and the amount of stat, like it's quite nuts. And then after that comes a huge roll of recubing everything.
Oh. No.
Yeah. Well, not everything, but like probably most of it. Yeah. So.
Oh no.
That's gonna be good times. But maybe we'll get a DMT.
Ha. And maybe even if we did get a DMT, like, and let's say hypothetically it worked. Yeah. But like, where are my cube sales at?
We're venturing deep into hypothetical land right now.
Yeah.
We're way past Hopefulville. We're into hypothetical land.
Like, even if they did all this, they're still gonna limit the cube sales to like nothing. Oh man.
Oh yeah. It seems like they're generally doing that. Yeah, it's like it's like DMT max of 30 cubes. Like, okay.
Yeah, it's so dumb, dude.
I mean, still DMT in itself is basically like a 50% cube sale off of tiering up, right? But if you're not using it for tiering up, then it's just like completely flying past you, and you get no value out of it.
Nothing. It just means I can't play the game for 3 hours of the day.
You know what they could do? During a DMT, they put a lock on how many black cubes you can buy, but not on the amount of red cubes. And then if there's just a cube sale, then they don't put a lock on how many red cubes you can buy, but they put a lock on how many black cubes you can buy or something. Or like the other way around, so that it's because you mainly use blacks to tier up, right? And you mainly use reds to reroll. So if they lock those when they would be the most useful, but not the other ones on a sale, then I don't know. Maybe that could work. Kind of like an in between, right? Where the community is kind of like, okay, I can kind of see where they're coming from, and also the game is kind of like, we're kind of like slowing down the growth, but not too crazy.
I'd be fine with that. Yeah. Just give me anything that's better than the travesty we witnessed like last time.
Yeah, because the combination of never start a sale like 30 minutes before session. Were you here for that old session that had like the DMT sale, like the sale and the DMT and the 2x event start all at the same time?
No, that sounds horrible though.
Oh my god, it was unplayable, dude. All the people who were training were yelling for everyone to go offline so they could get gains. All the people who couldn't get into the cash up were yelling for people who were training to stop training because their rates were shit anyway because they couldn't kill. And everyone was just mad at each other for being alive, basically.
Oh.
And all the while, like people who got into cash up couldn't buy anything. People who had cubes couldn't use them, and people who were training were getting like lower rates than on 1x, basically, because you know that thing where your game kind of like freezes up and you have to stop everything you're doing. Otherwise, if you keep going, you just get like DC for hack reason and you lose all your coupons.
Yeah.
It was just constantly that. Because I think it was also at the time where like pet loot lag was still a thing. So just that thrown into the mix, it was just it was bad news bears all around.
This game is pretty disgusting sometimes.
Sometimes, but hey, we still play it.
That's true.
What is this game? I wonder sometimes, like, what does this game have to do for some people to stop playing it? I think it just literally has to shut down. That's like the only thing.
If they made Reboot like the same as reg servers where you could like dog shit, I'd quit.
Yeah, if too much pay to win seeps into Reboot, I think that would be a big nail on the coffin for a lot of people too. Yeah, that's like one of the big redeeming factors. What brought a lot of people back.
Yeah, I agree with that, honestly. Oh, yeah, I have a lot to do now, apparently.
Yeah, so a lot of this is just knowing, right? And it's not like immediately you have to start farming like thousands of hours, but when you specifically know what you're aiming for, you know which events to look out for, you know which bosses are more important than others, etc., etc. And hopefully that'll help you, you know, and then also looking at your Legion, hopefully that'll help you set up like a priority list of, because most of this is kind of not playing your main, right? It's just like
Yeah.
if you dailies on your main, working on your Legion links, like setting up money, which probably isn't going to be made by your main. Maybe some of it is. And it is definitely counterintuitive when you like your character, but sometimes you have to like invest away from your character so that you can
Yeah.
return and then be a lot stronger afterwards. Yeah.
That's the one thing I don't really like about the game is like you have to not play your main in order to get stronger on your main.
Yeah, at a certain point, you just can't ignore the gains anymore that you can make. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think we went through all of it.
I think that's pretty much everything.
Unless you have
I don't know if
something
there's anything really.
that you feel you were still wondering about or that went unaddressed.
I think it's mostly.
Oh, I
everything.
guess we didn't go through familiars. I don't know what your situation with that is.
Yeah, about that. I came back to the game like after they had been disabled already, so big rip for me, I guess.
Yeah, pretty much. So that means that the main thing you can get from them is if they're common or rare is 15% IED, or healing lines.
Yeah.
And if they're epic, you can get 20 to 30% IED and 20 to 30% boss.
That's not bad if I can get that.
Yeah, but so epic is going to be a huge problem because you're going to have to get common cards and then throw like fuse epic and common, rare and commons onto a rare card, and then tier it up with a chance of failing after you level up the familiar to level 5 by killing monsters near your level and having the familiar out. And then once you do get it to succeed, and if it fails, you have to like fuse again to get, to max fullness. And then if it succeeds, you just have one roll, one reveal on epic, which is like, probably like 98% chance of being just absolute shit.
Yeah, the familiar system seems like so difficult to get anything good if you're like starting it now.
Yeah, it's just really catered towards non-reboot, because they just have cards, right? If you get it to, because if the whole premise was, it's difficult to get an epic, but then once you get an epic, it's very difficult to get it to unique. But like you put in all the work, and then you make your uniques, and then you can just roll until you get something good. It would be a valuable system, but the thing we would need for that is those red familiar cards to be able to re-roll your stats. So without those red familiar cards, the system just kind of falls flat, and the only thing you can really aim for is some drop rate and some IED in rare and common, or Hail Mary and like gamble up to epic, and that's pretty much it.
It's pretty brutal that I'm like, oh man.
Yeah,
I don't know.
It does mean that it's like
likely?
it's one less worry for you, right? Because you have enough to work on. It's not like you're looking for things to do.
That's true.
So it's like, well, if I had a little bit of healing to help the team, or I had like one line of IED on something, then that's going to be good enough for me, and I can't really expect it to be any better. And then that's just one thing that you don't have to worry about. But yeah, it sucks that you can't just be one of the people who just gets like 90% boss out of that or something.
Yeah, 90% boss just lost because I didn't play the game a month sooner than like when I came back.
Yep,
Oof. I guess
that's why you play all day, every day, baby. That's why you never take breaks.
Yeah, it's my fault for
how dare you
not playing the game 4 years ago to get that badge.
Having like a life for a few months. How dare you?
Yep. Well, it is what it is, dude.
Yep, it is what it is.
So also the Oz rings, I should do that as well.
I'm not saying you should do that, but like if it's content that you enjoy, like maybe you do, because training and like grinding on the blade master on your dual blade is probably not super enjoyable right now, but you do still want to play it. So if you alternate working on your Legion and just doing your regular dailies with maybe a little bit of Oz content, you can still like play your main and still work towards something that could be really cool if you enjoy the content. So I would just say like give it a try and see if you enjoy it or not. If it's kind of like then do with it whatever you want.
Yeah.
But you see it definitely as an option for some big gains. Yeah.
Is it worth it to get those Onyx apples for bosses? Like the ones from APQ, I think it is.
So what my party does sometimes, if we have like, so if we know we can kill Hard Lucid phase 3 pretty easily, but let's say that somebody DCs or something, and they're okay with the party clearing,
Yeah.
then sometimes one or two people popping an apple can kind of solidify the fact that you can still clear it.
Okay.
So if you're one of those people who has some apples on the back end in case that happens, because I don't think they expire, right? You can just stack them and they stick
Yeah.
around. Yeah. So yeah, it's probably good if you can have some built up. But
Because I was looking at solo boss runs from
Mhm.
people, and they always have their buff bar filled with a bunch of stuff like these obscure alchemy potions or pills.
Oh
And I
yeah,
always
yeah,
think
that's
like,
true.
if is it really worth like, I don't know.
It's one of those things where if you want to min max, you just have to use everything, right?
Yeah.
Everything
Because
that's
I
available to you.
because I want to keep doing bossing on my main, and I feel like eventually something like solo normal Lucid will be doable.
Mm-hmm.
But I might need to use those things to like push that extra bit.
Yeah, for sure.
So
I've done solo normal lucid on my arc.
yeah.
But typically I don't see the value in it because, you forego your run for hard lucid if you do that, and
Oh yeah. I was just thinking like practice mode for fun.
yeah, for practice mode, yeah. Yeah, it's a pretty min-maxy thing. Going into there, yeah, you probably want to get door from someone. You want to make sure you have all the right boost nodes set. Maybe redo your hyperstats like specifically for the boss. I'm not sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then soaking up on all the potions you can get. Maybe one of those big Root Abyss sparkling potions with extra boss or something. Maybe the boss rush potion. Yeah, I think you have like the luck potion 9 or 10 or something that gives you a bunch of luck for duration of time, because it's like the strongest potion you can use. That's not one of the huge potions because you're limited to using 2 of those at the same time. So you're
Yeah.
using like the strongest potion that's just below that. Yeah, because all of this does add up. Because at that point you can't even see it in your range anymore. You're already over cap by like a whole lot. You got to be at like
Yeah.
180 mil range or something. So you just have to trust the system, I guess.
Yeah, I guess disgusting.
Just
Man.
cap more.
I think we covered pretty much everything I wanted to though.
Yeah, I think so. I think you'll be surprised if you make the list for the Legion to see what you will gain. I think you'll be surprised to see how much that actually is.
Yeah, I'll definitely. Yeah, I got a lot of work to do. I'll definitely get to that.
Yep. Well, if you have any questions or anything comes up while you're working on your stuff, feel free to hit me up on Discord
Perfect.
or ask in the chat if I see it. I'll do my best to reply.
Yeah, sounds good.
Okay. Well, best of luck on everything. I know it was a lot, but once you get
Yeah.
to this point, every single upgrade is more labor than than just throw
Yeah.
some cubes on. It gets a little bit more complicated. Yeah. Bye bye kids game and hello calculator.
Yeah.
Pretty much. But yeah, best of luck, and I'll see you
Thank you.
around in chat.
Yeah, perfect.
All right.
See ya.
See ya.